Hey, there's some entertainment news worth discussing today. It's not all great stuff. Hartley Sawyer. You may not know the name, but if you're a fan of The Flash, you likely know him as Ralph Dibny. He's been fired. So this is one of those things where people look through and they find some old tweets. And looking at the old tweets, I can see how they're bad jokes. I can see how they're in poor taste. I can't defend him. And he's fired. So you'll notice that there's new magnets up there to describe what I'm talking about here. And yeah, so the No God Please No, I got up there because Ralph Dibny, honestly, in this season of Flash, might have been one of the most engaging characters, one of the most 3D style characters, which is weird because he can go completely flat as the elongated man. What is it with DC right now? First, Batwoman's out. She's leaving, and now they've got to find a new person for Batwoman. And now you've got Ralph Dibny, who, honestly, without Ralph Dibny, then the Sue Dearborn storyline just falls apart. So the actress that plays Sue, probably not going to have a job this coming year either. And it's just too bad. Because, honestly, the Ralph-Sue storyline and Ralph himself, one of the best characters on the show. And the thing is, they took a guy who was kind of aggravating and annoying, and they made him a really good three-dimensional character. And Flash needs that. They really need that. So you lose Ralph. That's too bad. But again, you know, I can't defend what he said. The off-color joke fell flat, and numerous other remarks. And again, I don't think he was serious about all of this. There was one in particular where he would make remarks about minorities, but he'd be worried about, people. And it's just, again, is it in poor taste? Yep. Is it something that back in 2012 he'd be thinking might come up again in 2020? Nah, it's 8 years ago. But this is where we are now. We are in a position where, yeah, you can dig up something somebody said or did 10, 20 years ago, and it's done. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Legends of Tomorrow, and I'm going to do a Legends of Tomorrow video soon that's going to be specifically about this season. I may get into each character and get into each season and how I think the show's getting better every year. The Crying Dwight is because I want Zari 1.0 back. So, if you haven't watched the finale, you might want to mute for a bit until I do this. So just go ahead and mute until I make that motion, and then you can start up the sound again. If you don't want to be spoiled from it, then mute the video. I want Zari 1.0 back, so we got her back in the last couple of episodes, and it reminded me of how awesome the character Zari can be, and how useful she is, and how she kind of sort of qualifies as like the god machine of the show. And I understand that it's sort of like in Doctor Who, how you have to, take out the sonic screwdriver at times to prove the Doctor can actually do something without the sonic screwdriver. But Zari 2.0 is aggravating, and I know they've tried to make her more likable, but now they're hooking her up with Constantine. I don't like that. And Zari 1.0 had to go back into the totem because her brother was going to die because of the cosmic string, and it doesn't make any sense, right? It really, I mean, I get it, but it doesn't make any sense. Because I'm like, wait, shouldn't he just have been dead then? Shouldn't it be like not, oh, I'm gradually tearing apart the fabric of space-time, only affecting my brother, not affecting anything else, not taking Zari 2.0 out of existence, just my brother. Okay, all right. Because I thought what was going to happen was, I thought the brother and Zari 2.0 were both going to just disappear. And it says a lot about I believe it's Talia Ash, or Tala Ash, that plays Zari, that I can really like her as one version of Zari and really not like her as the other. It says a lot about her acting ability. That in one case, I'm like, man, she's the best character on the show. Oh, boo, I don't like that. And it's the same person. Charlie, of course, makes her exit. Good. Charlie, this whole season, there wasn't much point to Charlie other than the loom. Now that the whole loom thing's done, thank God. And I do wonder, too, like, with where this is headed. So, again, spoiler alert. Right? Sarah at the end's abducted by aliens. Does Constantine stay in a show where they're fighting aliens? How the Wave Rider's going to fight aliens? We're really going to that level now? All right. I'm along for the ride. I'm fine with that. Apparently, it returns mid-2021. So we'll see how that goes. Again, Legends of Tomorrow is a very good show. I love what they did with Mick. I hope Mick's daughter's in it regularly. The actress that plays Mick's daughter reminds me very much of an actress that was on the show Millennium. Now, if you didn't want, now it's Millennium starred Rachel Nichols, not the Rachel Nichols from basketball shows, but Rachel Nichols, the actress who was in this first season of Titans. She played Rachel's mom. And it's about a girl or a woman who goes back in time, and she has to prevent a future. Well, she's trying to prevent a future where tech is evil and everybody's lives are under the control of this tech. And it's actually a really interesting show. But this girl that now plays Mick's daughter reminds me a lot of that actress. And I haven't actually done the research to see if it's the same actress. So I hope they keep her around. I don't think it's the same actress. I think that actress would be too old to play this role as Mick's teenage daughter. Now, again, the Zari 2.0 thing, I think, has kind of run its course. That's the weird thing, is that you have Zari stuck back in the bottle, but I don't think it's run its course. I think there's more there, and I don't want to see Nate hooking up with somebody else. You know, they finally put Nate and Zari together. I'm like, yay! Ah, crap. They're going to take her back out, aren't they? So hopefully they find a way to get her back into reality and realize that storyline is stupid. Sarah, of course, isn't going to stay abducted. Apparently there's a rumor that they're bringing in a new hero to the Legends who will be related to this abduction storyline. That'll be somebody who was abducted by aliens and grew up among the aliens. And so we'll see what kind of character she is. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I think Constantine's kind of run his course, so is it time to give him another show on his own? DC, CW, come on. Get that Supernatural Lucifer Constantine crossover going. Make it happen. Have all 3 shows take place. Just one episode where all 3 shows are... Just to have Sam and Dean with Tom Ellis's Lucifer, which isn't on the board, but Lucifer, Tom Ellis apparently has signed on for a season 6. So, yes! Hopefully season 5 of Lucifer gets it back together. Season 4 of Lucifer, it wasn't very good. The last episode was great, and I was like, where was this Lucifer all season? Why are they just resetting all the characters? Did they realize people wouldn't like it? And so they're just resetting everybody? Because it was like every character on the show in season 4 kind of went off the rails. So anyways, alright, now I will do that. So you can unmute. 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 Okay, if you don't, well, you'll just have to watch the video over again and remember when to unmute. Percy Jackson's author has come out and basically slammed the movies and said, I never watched the movies, though. Can you really do that? I mean, he says it'd be heartbreaking, and I understand that. But the Percy Jackson movies I thought were okay. They're okay. They're kind of fluff pieces. They're not overly intellectual, but as an author, wouldn't you at least be curious to see how the movies turned out? Now, I remember being a big fan of reading Dean Koontz books, and I was so excited when they were taking Watchers and they were going to make a movie of it. I was like, oh yeah, Watchers, that's a great one, and Travis is such a good character, and how are they going to get... Because Travis was a Green Beret, and, you know, he'd been in Vietnam. I think it was Vietnam he'd been in. And there was some real depth to that character, and then, you know, they've got this genetically engineered beast that's out there hunting this really super smart dog that's called Einstein. And it's this really good storyline, and then he falls in love, but is he going to trust it? It's this great storyline. And then they announced the movie was coming out. I'm like, oh, good. The main character, Travis, will be played by Corey Haim. Oh, God. The dog, is it named Einstein? No, Corey Haim names it Furface. And then Michael Ironside was in it, and I was like, what the hell? That whole movie, I remember watching it with a friend of mine. And the funny thing was, he knew how much I liked the book and how much I read Dean Koontz books. And we watched the movie together, and he kept pausing when really stupid things were happening because I would be yelling. And he would be kind of egging me on like, nah, I want to know how you really feel. I think this is great. And I'm like, that never happened in the book. None of this happened in the book. This is so stupid. I've read that book 3 times. None of this happens in the book. I even read the book before I watched the movie just to refresh my memory. And then I really wish I just dumped it all out. It's awful. Watchers, Corey Haim. Look it up. It's terrible. And then they made a Watchers 2. This was the funny thing, where they had Mark Singer, I believe, was playing the character Travis. And it was basically the book retold. And even though it was called Watchers 2, and it was very, very carefully constructed to be close to the book, and it was a very good movie, it's not a sequel. Why was it called Watchers 2? It was not a sequel. It had nothing. It was a retelling of the book. The whole movie, that movie, I just kept saying, why is this 2? This is a good movie. Why is it 2? Anyways, people are like, why doesn't Shannon talk more about Dean Koontz movies? Because they make me angry. Except Phantoms. Ben Affleck was the bomb in Phantoms. Phantoms is a very good Dean Koontz movie. So, speaking of good movies, I've been watching Ash vs. Evil Dead again. I'm into season 2 again, and I love that show. It is very grim. It's very gory. It's very violent. It's also very funny. Very tongue-in-cheek. And Ash is one of the most lovable, creepy characters in the history of TV. And I don't know how else to call him. He just, you know, he's got great qualities and some negative qualities, and all of it put together equals a great character. Now, The Evil Dead, the original movie, of course, Ash vs. Evil Dead's kind of a sequel to that. It has part 2 in it. It mentions part 3 as well. It doesn't mention the 2013 movie. That feels like that's in a separate universe. But now they're directing a movie called Evil Dead Now, and Lee Cronin has been hired to direct Evil Dead Now, which is apparently what they're calling the new Evil Dead movie. So, an Evil Dead movie, honestly, you don't need a big cast, you don't need a lot of people, and here's to hoping it's a good movie. It should be. Sam Raimi's involved, Bruce Campbell's involved, Rob Taupert's involved. As long as that crew is involved, it should be very good. And again, for people who want to say that the 2013 Evil Dead with Jane Levy wasn't very good, bring it, because that movie's fantastic. I saw it, I think it was 3 times in the theater. Absolutely amazing. Intense, scary, some funny moments in it as well. Not as funny-ish as the original. The original movie, a lot of people say, "Oh, it's really funny." It's not. I don't think the original Evil Dead was supposed to be funny. I think it's ridiculous, ludicrous, and over the top, so it goes that way, but I don't think it was meant to be viewed as funny. It's just grim. Anyways, but it is a classic, and I admit it's a classic, and Ash vs. Evil Dead, the series, definitely has more of the aspects of the original movie than of Evil Dead 2, which was more played for slapstick and comedy. And then, of course, Part 3, Army of Darkness, is just flat-out comedy. I want to talk a little bit about Space Force here. The wife and I watched episode 5 last night out of 10. You know, Space Force has a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes with critics, and with the audience it has 77%. That makes sense. Space Force is not a very... I'm not going to say it's not well written, but it's very uneven. So there's characters in the show that are a complete and total joke, and then there are characters in the show that are very serious, and there are characters in the show that kind of waffle in between the two. And when your main character is one of the ones who's waffling between the two, which is what happens with Steve Carell's character, Naird at points feels like a gruff, tough general, and at other points, he's Michael Scott. And so the in-between, when he goes from one to the other and back, sometimes it feels kind of uneven and it feels like it doesn't work. But remember, the first season of The Office didn't review very well either. The first season of The Office generally wasn't well received, and then it hit its stride in year 2. I would think if Space Force hits year 2, and if they're given, 10 episodes to tell their story, I think it'll get better. I can see aspects of the show that need to be more well-rounded. Like John Malkovich he's a treat. I think that 77%, I want to say 50% of that is probably John Malkovich alone. He's brilliant in every line, every part of the dialogue, everything he does is brilliant. And so, if you made the show more about him, and you had more with him in it, and you take Naird and you sort of dial him back, and the bit with his daughter and then his wife in jail, and there's things like Lisa Kudrow's character doesn't work at all for me. Completely not nonsensical to have that whole bit with her in jail. I honestly, I think that's a really weird idea. You could have just had him, a divorced dad, going to this and, meeting somebody else, that kind of thing. But I maybe that's for the farce and for the over-the-top part, but then there's other parts that aren't over the top, so... Anyways, I will give Space Force a viewing all the way through. Probably will do a season review. And by we, I mean myself and my wife as well. And I keep trying to get her to watch Ash vs. Evil Dead, and she just won't. So, yeah. And then on my watch list, Birds of Prey, which I bought about a week ago. This is how long it takes me to actually watch a movie. Where I buy it, I have it, I use digital code, put it on my YouTube account, and then it takes me forever to watch it. So I want to watch it with Yvonne. And so until that happens, it's going to be sitting in my watch list. And I know that it's had mixed reviews along the way, and I will be glad to take a look and give an honest opinion of it. Invisible Man's on the watch list as well, where I want to watch that one. And then again, it seemed like a silly concept to me. But again, since they didn't take the classic Invisible Man storyline of a guy actually being invisible, where you physically can't see him, which is ridiculous, I'm glad they didn't take that turn. And so, you know, I'm going to check it out. And just from all the stuff I've seen about it, it sounds like it's a pretty darn good movie. Stargirl, yes, I'm going to watch Stargirl. Of course I am. It's a superhero show. Why wouldn't I watch Stargirl? So that one I'm going to try to watch. I have to try to figure out where I can find it. So in Canada, that's more tricky. The DC shows can be kind of tricky to find. Sometimes they're on the Space Network up here. Sometimes they're on CW, I think, is carried one or two here as well. And sometimes you have to go to other online services. Crave TV might have it. So I'll have to track it down. And I have to watch the other episodes of Creepshow. So we watched the first episode. And when I say we, I meant I watched the first half of the first episode. And then I watched the entire first episode of Creepshow with my wife. I'm going to say this. If you like Tales from the Crypt back in the late 80s, early 90s, Creepshow the series is it. Twilight Zone should have been it. Twilight Zone had every reason for us to believe in it, but for me, Twilight Zone fell flat. I couldn't stand it. The new Creepshow is fantastic. The first episode, the first half where you've got the dad turning into whatever because he's drinking weird beer or whatever it was, and then you've got the second half where the kid's dollhouse, the dolls in it are alive, and this weird zombie head thing is alive in the dollhouse. See, and I'm not even spoiling it for people who haven't seen it, because that's the basic storyline of both the first and second half of the episodes. The second half of that episode with the doll head, there's no violence in it, and yet it's kind of sort of terrifying at the end, isn't it? There's sort of this feeling like, okay, so this is just in a dollhouse and they're dolls, but is it? And could this hit reality? And could it be that this little girl, maybe she's in a dollhouse, maybe she doesn't know? Like, there was all kinds of questions I was asking myself during that. That's a good show. So, very well written. That first episode has the wife and I wanting to watch the rest, but we have other shows we're watching as well. So, there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. And yes, I'm wearing a Jason Voorhees Camp Crystal Lake Killers jersey. I got this from Geeky Jerseys. So the entertainment jerseys I get from Geeky Jerseys. And I still have one more on order, which I know is late because due to the world shutting down, they shut down their production for about a month and a half. So that definitely caused me to have to wait longer, but that's okay too. If that's the only thing I have to worry about during this time, that's not bad. So yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and I hope you guys enjoy the new magnets because I have a whole bunch of magnets I'm going to make which are related to The Office and a bunch of Rick and Morty ones as well that I'll use in these news videos. I'm going to use them on the hockey channel as well because definitely this one I can use for certain hockey things. This one and Karen here and then Michael Scott here. There's a lot of different emotional sort of that you can use. So I'm looking forward to that. And hey, thanks for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.